Bonjour, bonjour les petits poussins. I always wanted to have like a jingle, but we're gonna work on the jingle later on. But today, I think I really want to talk to you about what happened the last 3 weeks of launching two different offers at the same time and what I've learned from it, especially when it comes to proving things to people and this whole idea of being a human being. What does it mean to be a human being? So, for context, when I was in Italy, bigger context, it's been a year plus that I'm not working. I've initially decided to take a break from my business around December 2024. And in 2025, April 2025, I decided to close my dance academy. So I got out of the registry of the Chamber of Commerce in the Netherlands, and I decided not to do anything with dancing anymore, not to teach. Also because 2025 was shit, right? After my dad passed away, losing my house, being sick, I was like, I can't deal with this right now, and I just don't want to be teaching. And I continued with all the remaining work that I've had. I still had a few gigs, bookings, and the three last Ghana dance camps. But essentially, it's been, I would say, really 5, 6 months that I'm not working, and a bit more than a year and a half since I'm not really working, or that I'm not putting anything out there uh, intentionally. And so when I was in Sardinia, and I needed that time, obviously, because I never thought that 2025 would just hit me that hard on so many different levels. So now it's been 3, 4 months that I'm actively doing things again. And not so much because I have to do them, but because I want to do them. Especially the podcast, the video portrait series, being back on social media, like being more creative in general, picking up crochet again, like going to the gym, dancing, wanting to be social and wanting to see people, and just basically like having a different perspective on life and just wanting to do life, right? And moving, even though you're still grieving and whatever and still digesting everything, it's a movement. And for me, I've always believed in movement, anyways. And so when I was in Italy, even more so in Sardinia, I arrived and literally the next day, it was a Friday. I always remember I was doing my 3 pages in the morning and I was writing and I was like, playground. And then I wrote so much, but not necessarily about the format of the playground, but what it meant for me to do the playground. And this idea, I started obsessing and imagining, envisioning different formats, and just also envisioning being with people and how this could literally, how the philosophy could literally change people's lives. And the more I explored it, the more I was like, it doesn't really differ from what I was sharing when I was having my dance academy, which has always been about doing things, being in movement, because it's dance, getting out of your head, coming back to your body, feeling it first, taking your time, exploring, trying, connecting with people, obviously, but most importantly, like connecting to your heart and just trying, giving yourself that permission to try to take a first step, obviously, analogy with dancing. And so I was like, okay, so it's nice, I don't need to have a full name or a structure or anything, but obviously the idea is there. And for me, when an idea is here, it's God telling me, hey, jump on it. I've never, of course, I mean, I've had ideas and I've let them simmer, but sometimes when I let them simmer too much, then it doesn't happen anymore. And obviously, like, I am a person who's like, go, 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 go. So I've always built things like this. I have an idea, let's just act on it, let's just jump on it, and we see what happens. And that's how I built my business for 6.5 years, 7 years. And I just, it was this experimentation, right? And because maybe deep down, I always hated people putting people in boxes, or especially when I was in France, like if you had a year where you had a gap, everybody would be like, but what the fuck did you do here? I'm like, well, first of all, I lived, so you had to justify everything. And for me, I'm like, I have one life. If I don't like something, I'm not gonna do it. And I know this was something that my mom was criticizing a bit, because she used to say, tu changes tout le temps d'avis. You're always like changing your mind. And I always thought that this was something wrong, until I realized, well, when I try something and I really don't want to be doing it, why the fuck would I push? This whole idea of like pushing, keep figuring it out, keep finding, maybe you are going to find yourself in there. True story. I completely agree. You will learn other skills, but if essentially you don't like what it is that you're doing, why would you still do it? When I was in corporate, for example, I didn't like being a recruiter as a full-time, in my full-time position. And I loved marketing. I still stayed in the recruitment position because I still wanted to try marketing. But ultimately, I was like, fuck this shit. I just don't want to do that. I want to do marketing. I did marketing in the context of the corporate job. It was great, but I still didn't want to do that. And I think ultimately, I just didn't want to have a boss. I had a lot of problems with authority, still do. But essentially, I see, I don't even know where I'm going with this, but we're going to go back to what I was saying. I am coming back to the playground. I was like, is the same thing. Jump on the idea, build at the same time, figure it out, because that's the process that I've always been doing. And this is the human doing side of me, okay? And I realized along the way, over the past 3 weeks, first of all, that my body was telling me no. Even though I had 9 people out of the 12 signed up for the physical iteration of June in Portugal, my body was like, dude, we don't want to do this. And I was like, why the fuck? I don't understand. People have signed up. The concept is working. Like, even if people weren't able to attend, people were just like, oh my God, when are you going to do another one? I'm going to attend the other one. And even not even finishing the June one, not even starting the June one, I was already like, yeah, I'm just going to do another one in October. And so I realized at first my body was screaming no, anxiety, panic attacks, not sleeping between 3 and 5 in the morning for 2.5 weeks straight, and waking up focusing only on content strategy, emailing, telling people about it, and focusing on the pain point, focusing on the transformation. And I really lost my voice in that. I really lost myself a bit in there. And I really thought, because I was pushing, I really thought that it was a strategy problem, marketing problem, but actually it was a me problem. It was a human thing to just like, we don't want to do this. And I know in the previous episode, I was talking about how indeed not like listening to yourself, yes, but just, not putting pressure and performance and everything. But ultimately, after 3 weeks of doing that, I realized that I didn't want to do it. Why? Because I've spent my whole business, 7 years, of having people being dependent on the physical presence of me. Of course, I've done things online, and I am able to carry a room regardless if it's online or in a physical presence. But obviously, I love physicality because dancing is better when you're in a room with other people and when you feel each other's energies and sweat and just like the scream and everything. And also because technically on Zoom, dancing is shit because of the technical problems of hearing the music. But I did build a business that was heavily reliant on me, also because I was the only person doing everything. I didn't have other teachers. I wasn't really functioning like a dance school. It was a dance school, but I was the only teacher and doing everything, all the roles from teacher, guide, mentor, coach, sales, marketing, copywriting, invoicing, admin, and whatever. So it is a lot from a business management perspective, but also from a human perspective of always holding the room, right? Even if I was teaching only 3 times a week, I was still doing retreats, I was still working with brands, everything always dependent on people seeing me physically to be able to do the work, right? And so when I did launch the playground and listening to my body and asking myself, why the fuck does my body keep saying that? And once I just started crying and I just told my mom, I don't want to have responsibilities. And it all came clear. And it all became clear. I was like, I don't want to have responsibilities. I don't want to be responsible for people. I don't want to be responsible for their emotional states, for their physical states, for just even the simplest thing of picking them up from the airport and just bringing all of my fucking suitcases and waking people up. This is the workshop. This is the time. It is so fucking much. And I thought to myself, why do I not want to do this? And how is it that what the fuck? I really thought that, oh, you became a really fragile little bitch. But then it dawned on me that, hello, 2025 is not even like a few months away. You are still fucking digesting 2025. And it almost felt like I didn't give myself permission to feel all the feels. Because as I said, it's only been 3-4 months that I want to be doing things again. But I'm not gonna lie, these have been the 3-4 months where I have mostly thought so much about my dad. And I realized that obviously within the midst of the tsunami of 2025, I never really took the time to grieve or to cry or to just again feel the feels, to think of him or to give myself that space, because me being me, I always minimize, I always push my emotions away. And now it does feel like everything is coming, not all at once, because with time and with the last few months, I am allowing myself to give space to all those feelings. But there's still a part of me that's like, come on, you're 35, you have your health, you have money in your bank account, you have a house, you have your room when you were a child. Man the fuck up. Can you imagine? Man the fuck up. It's not even like woman the fuck up. It's like, man the fuck up, get your fingers out of your ass and keep moving, So realizing that, I was like, I just don't want to do it. And this is where the whole performance and proving something to people has come into place, because it's a new concept. Even if it's the evolution of what I was doing with dance, with my dance academy, there's no more dance because I don't really want to teach dance classes. And truth be told, I have been hyped and influenced by people to still put some dance workshops in there, because obviously this is the doorway and people are going to be maybe more able to enter the playground if I put dance. And then I realized people have not even signed up for the dance part. They have signed up for the concept, for the idea, for how I brought it. I didn't even share anything dance related. And so it was like, okay, you're still in the old space of you moving with dancing, but now you just don't want to move with dance. So maybe the people that you had before will not resonate and will not want to join, which is completely fine. And then it's time to just welcome new people also to the table. But again, part of me was like, fuck, then this means that I am letting these people down. These people who have been with me for 6-7 years, who some of them really just did everything from the classes to the workshops to going to retreats and weekenders in Ghana with me. It's a whole ecosystem, right? And then they have come with me. And I think of these people, I'm like, fuck, I'm letting them down. But then it's also like I'm letting myself down if I keep doing something that I don't necessarily want to be doing. And yes, people can hype me all they want. It's like, yeah, we want more workshops, we want you back, you're the best teachers and stuff. And it's great and I love it, but at this very moment I don't want to do that. And that brings me back to the whole not wanting to do the physical iteration and this whole idea of performance, of doing something just because you're very good at it and because people maybe expect you to do it, and also because you yourself, I was expecting myself to do it as well, because that's my safe space. That's what I know best. That's what I'm really good at. And I'm only realizing that after 7 years. Hello. That's where I'm really good at. But ultimately, do I really want to do that? And I said, no. My body was like, bitch, you don't want to do that. And it took me to my body. Again, the chest was super tight. My shoulders were so fucking... I was constipated, okay? I was super constipated, not in my bunda, but my body again was super, super, super tight. My throat, let's not talk about it. All I wanted was Wah! As if there was some fire coming out of my mouth. And ultimately I decided to listen to that. And then I've had a conversation with someone and who was suggesting, hey, why don't you do online, since you just also want to have that physical barrier as well? Why don't you try online? And sorry, that's true. Ultimately, I would love to be online. I don't necessarily want to build a new adventure or a new business that is heavily dependent on my physical presence. I love talking. I love having the mic in my phones. I love being, which is weird. I love being on stage, but not really. But I've been really loving and enjoying this, talking to the camera, talking on the podcast, asking questions to people. And I realized that this is also something that I've loved doing in the past. during the dance coaching programs, even having one-on-ones with people. Before even we dance, I would always ask questions like, where are you at the moment? Where do you feel the pain? Where do you feel the tightness? What is happening at the moment in your life? And just building this rapport and building this connection. Because for me, having a human being come to my events or having someone come to me, again, I find it so fucking precious because it's another human being who's just built like me, with a head, with a body, with a heart, but who experiences things so differently from me and who maybe sees the world so differently from me. So that in and of itself is so fucking precious that I want to take time to honor it. I want to take time to build rapport and not to go into this phase of we need to be vulnerable with each other, but it's still a relationship of trust. I want to trust you and I want you to trust me. And so I realized that I love doing that. I love asking questions and all of these things. And now giving myself the space to just, okay, tranquille, don't put so much pressure on yourself because again, you don't have the capacity. You don't have as much capacity as you have before. I carried this for 7 years by myself. And then I've carried myself for 35 years by myself. I've built this whole thing and I've built my life with little support, okay? Very little financial support. Like my parents were hustlers and entrepreneurs. And I've learned that from them. I don't have a trust fund or anything. It's like we're coming from, isn't it a middle class? Anyways, so we've been taught that. It's like, yeah, let's just go. Go, go, go. You can figure it out. You have what it takes. God is with you. Let's just fucking do it. And there's this thing that I'm so happy that I have. But after what 2025 happened, I became super sensitive, way more sensitive to so many different things. And not in a bad way, but more in a, there's a lot of appreciation that I have now for people who do businesses, for everything, from a fucking tree to someone who just shares their story with me, to entrepreneurs and creators and innovators and people just in general. And so when I decided not to do the physical iteration and coming back to the online piece, I was like, all right, this seems like the right starting point. And because again, I want to do things. I'm not in a position of like la flemme or laziness, or like there's a desire, there's a yearning, there's an urge to, again, oh, I want to do life, I want to live life. These things happen to teach me something, and every day I learn something new about 2025, and I'm beyond grateful. Honestly, I'm so fucking beyond grateful. And at the same time, I still want to move. And when I decided to do the online piece, I was just again confronted with the same thing. What is it that I want to offer to people? And I realized that I don't even know. First of all, I don't know. And second of all, most importantly, I don't have, it's not that I don't have anything to offer to people. It's just I don't know yet. And I need space and time to figure that out. And it's also an interesting question that I have been asking myself. Okay, I want to contribute to the world. I've always wanted to contribute to the world because that's me as a person. I'm generous with my time, with my energy and everything. But with that new capacity and that new level of sensitivity, I realized that I really need to be super intentional with my energy, with where I want to spend it, with the kind of people that I want to have around me, with the kind of people that I actually want to help. I cannot go into this new version or this new business with the old me. Déjà, physically, it's impossible because I don't have that capacity. Like, I cannot handle as many things as I used to be because, again, 2025 slapped the shit out of me. And I think that I'm still recovering. And it's also something that I haven't accepted yet. I thought I did. I thought I had, but I haven't. So now we're just going into this sort of loop again and just observing. It's like, okay, we're not there yet, but we're getting there. I don't know where there is, but baby steps. Sometimes you do like fifth gear and then now you have to, tranquille, let's just go back to first or second gear, okay? And that's life, right? It's just a fucking marathon. Sometimes it's just like, let's fucking go. And some other times it's just like, tranquille. I haven't run a marathon, but I would imagine that it's like that. You cannot sprint, right? But voila, this is what I'm confronted with at the moment. And I'm very happy I'm actually very grateful that these past 3 weeks have done that to me, that I've experienced the past 3 weeks like this, because my old version would have literally pushed, would have literally held the fucking retreat. Even with 9 people, I've been like, yeah, I can still push and have 3 more people. I know that because I've done that for 7 years. The pushing and pushing, not forcing, but I mean, yeah, forcing sometimes, but the pushing as in like, I am fucking capable. When I put my mind onto something, I know I'm going to do it. That's me as a person. So this will never leave. But now it's about practicing a new way of doing things. And right now, I need to be a human being. I cannot be a human doing anymore. I want to be a human being, guys. I want to be able to just feel all the feels, not necessarily just like, okay, we ruminate. It's not so much about that, but it's more give yourself the space to feel the thing, okay? And even though an emotion is literally in your brain for 90 seconds and it's up to us to decide to stay in there or not, we're still fucking humans. We're not gonna just look at the watch and be like, and end of the suffering. But no, especially with something like grief. I don't even know how to fucking navigate grief. I've pushed it for so long that now I'm learning to just also have it present as a companion. Like when you lose a parent, like I lost 2 little turtles. Okay, I had 2 little turtles when I was younger, and then I fucking cried for weeks because they were dead. And I'm not gonna let myself cry for my dad, whom I haven't seen for so long and who had Alzheimer's and who forget half of his shit. But it's gonna take some fucking time. And that's part of being a human being. And I'm learning and I'm practicing, and this is the whole purpose of the playground, is practice, is playing. And it's a, even if it's like, it can be emotional and everything, it's still play, because you get to decide at some point, okay, right now we're done, okay, let's just keep moving with that, it's just take, for me, it feels like it's more carrying these companions of life with us, and not in a depressive or sad way, but it's more, okay, they're here, let's just let them be here for 5 seconds, and then they're not gonna prevent you from moving. And that's the thing also, it's like you can still be sad but still move, you can still grieve and still move, you can be happy and not move, and you can be happy and move. But for me, this element of moving, of trying, of experimenting is always going to be here, and at the same time adding that notion of intentionality and doing with what you have at the moment, at this very moment of your own life, let's say, a journey. And right now, for me, I think I need to fucking rest. I need to take more time. I need to slow it down. I need to enjoy more. I need to just be with myself more and learn to receive. This is the biggest thing also, is learning to receive. I've always pushed people back or pushed the help, or I was always in this thing of, if you do something for me, then I have to do something for you. And because I'm generous anyways, I will always do something for people. But it's like minimizing and dismissing also the help from other people, and just dismissing what it is that you're actually doing. Even with a compliment, when someone, can you imagine, in November 2025, I held my last 2 workshops of the year. And this was the first time in almost 7 years of having my dance school that I actually welcomed the compliments that everybody was telling me. And I just put a hand on my heart and I was like, thank you so much. And I didn't say, oh, but no, it's you. And, I didn't push it back. It took me fucking 7 years. Can you imagine? Et ben là, I feel like I'm just going back into this old loop of like, no, don't worry. Come on. Donc voilà, I think that there's a lot still to learn, and I'm very excited about it. And I just feel like I'm really embodying the spirit of the playground right now. It's just this idea of play. When you play, it's not always like, you're not always 100%, right? Again, it's a fucking marathon. It's not a sprint. Sometimes you slow down, sometimes you walk, sometimes you trot. Trottle? On trotte, trottiner, quoi. And sometimes you just like sprint a bit, sometimes you just like run a little bit faster, then you slow down, and then it's like you have time. And now honestly, I am privileged enough to still take more time and take more space to just be a human being and feel. because I've spent 35 years of my life working, you know, from being at school to university to high school to business school, and then having my first job. Every time I had a gap, I was always working. Even in summer, it was always like summer jobs and shit. Donc voilà, c'est beautiful moment, which I'm very appreciative of and very grateful for. And I think there's another thing, and I'll stop right there because, you know, but it's also exploring what it is that you really like, you know, what it is that you're really good at, and starting from there and just really doing it, I think, for you, most importantly. And that's why we tend to prove, maybe, because we don't do things for ourselves. We always do them with sort of like a hidden agenda. And again, I'm taking this example of me launching the playground. It was really to prove that I am back, that I am still here, that I still have the capacity, that I'm really great at what I'm doing, and wanting the applause and validation. Oh, wow, you survived your year. You came back so strong after such a few months. Like, a lot of people said that to me, and I brushed it off because I was like, well, that's my normal baseline. But if I look at it, I'm like, fuck, man, 2025 was such a beautiful and horrendous year, and I don't want to be like the person that I was before, pushing, go, go, go. I want to take more time now. And it's also practice, playground, practice taking more time, practice really tuning into what it is that you really want to be doing. And I realized that indeed I'm very good at holding people and asking the right questions, making people feel safe, and seeing them, letting them, like, you know, creating those spaces for them to be who they are and express themselves. But I also want to do it from a different perspective. I want to do it differently. I want to use different means. And if that means me taking more time to explore what it is, where it is that I feel truly, where it is that I really feel good, you know, that I have this that I have this gift and power. I also want to do it for me, you know. And when I think of the playground, again, I did it to prove, but I didn't do it for me. I love the idea, obviously, but instead of leading it as in, hey, I want to do this, I want to bring people together, just like everything that I have done during my dance academy were like that. I didn't do it. I didn't really do it for people, let's be honest. The Ghana dance camps, for example, I did 7 iterations of them just because I wanted another excuse to go back to Ghana, and because my mom was done with me telling me, why the fuck do you always keep going back to this country? But en fait, I love the country. I love the dance. I love the people there. And I created that. And these Ghana camps have always sold out. Can you imagine? People in April 2023 2024 have booked their camps for November 2025. How mad is this, you know? And because everything that I've done, even my classes, I was like, I'm doing this for me because I love this concept. If you're in, I'm inviting you. If you're not in, c'est pas grave. We're 8 billion people on the planet. And everything that I have done for people, this is where it turns shit. And I think this is going to be another podcast. But anyways, it's a reminder of really listen to yourself. On les oiseaux, listen to yourself. Listen to your gut. Listen to the things that really bring some sparkle into your heart, into your body, and you're like, oh my God, I just really want to do something with it. I don't know how yet, but it's gonna happen. The how is all, you always find the how. But really, again, that intentionality, that energy that you put behind things, this is your go-to. Voilà, on that note, have a lovely day, and bisous.